Hi, I'm John Batdorf, and I'm really happy to be a guest On Screen and Beyond.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry, news on upcoming TV and DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
Hey, welcome back to another edition of On Screen and Beyond. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. And this is episode 758. And this is the show that brings you a celebrity guest each week from the movie, TV, or music industry, as well as keeping you updated on what's coming your way as far as remakes, sequels, prequels, upcoming new movies, TV and movie DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And this week on Screen and Beyond, we're taking you back to the 70s. That's right, when in 1976, the song Wham, Bam, Shang flew up the charts from the group Silver. And our younger viewers and listeners, you might know the song from the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It was in there. So it's been, over the years, been coming back and forth. So it's a great song. And our guest is the founder of the group Silver, as well as the lead singer of the song, Wham Bam Shang, John Batdorf. And he's coming up in just a few minutes right here on Screen and Beyond. So I hope you'll enjoy that one. And thanks to all our viewers and listeners watching and listening all over the world, including Canada and Ontario and Quebec and Nova Scotia, and also in the U.S. in Oregon, where especially we have seen people from Borderman and Prineville, and also in Portland, among others. So thank you for listening and watching, and I hope you're enjoying the show. And without you, and everybody else around the world, there is no show. So, thank you for dropping by. Hope you'll keep listening and watching On Screen and Beyond. Please subscribe to whatever podcast platform you are getting this from, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Alexa. Hey, Alexa, play On Screen and Beyond. It's going to be there. And also Podbeam or on Spotify for audio versions. Or if you want the video versions and see what's going on, check out us on Spotify or on YouTube. Those are the only two places you can get the video version. So be sure to follow us On Screen and Beyond on Instagram, Facebook. And if you have a suggestion for a guest, or you just have a question for me, email me at feedback@onscreenandbeyond.com. Well, John Batdorf, of the lead singer of the hit song Wham Bam Shang, Silver, and all sorts of other stuff. He's got a new album out too, and more is coming up in a few minutes. But first, we have to take a peek at remakes, sequels, and prequels right here on Screen and Beyond.
Please hang up and try again.
Remake, sequels, and prequels. Well, Brendan Fraser says Mummy 4 is the sequel that he's been waiting 20 years to make. We'll see how that comes out. Dwayne Johnson, well, he says he doesn't believe Disney will make a sequel to 2021's Jungle Cruise movie that he made with Emily Blunt. Well, Dwayne, I hate to tell you, but that may be true. But if Disney thinks they can make a buck off a sequel, they're going to do it. Never say never. On December 5th, you can catch Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair in theaters. Now, this is a combining of both Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 with Uma Thurman into one epic film. So if you haven't seen the originals, or even if you have, you want to enjoy them, they're all going to be combined in one film in theaters. And it may be a year away, but a new surprise teaser trailer is out for The Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. And you can look for that movie to come our way November of 2026. And January 9th, the Garrity family is being forced to leave the safety of the bunker in Greenland to find a new home in Greenland 2 Migration, starring Gerard Butler. And that's it for remakes, sequels, and prequels. Coming up next, upcoming new movies. Upcoming new movies, March 6th, the latest animated feature from Pixar arrives with the voice talents of John Hamm and also Bobby Monahan in Hoppers. April 10th, Halle Bailey arrives in theaters in the film You, Me, and Tuscany. And Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling, lands in theaters on March 20th as a science teacher wakes up in a spaceship light years from home. And he has no idea how he got there. And he ends up, he has to save Earth. And that's it for upcoming new movies. Get ready. Movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Movies and TV on DVD and streaming December 10th. Get into the holiday spirit on Prime Video with Zoe Deschanel and Charlie Cox in a romantic comedy called Merv. And just so you know, Merv the dog steals the show. Monk, the complete series and movie Blu-ray arrives on December 2nd. And 1980s Airplane, the comedy, flies on to 4K on December 9th. And for you classic movie buffs, 1935's Captain Blood with Errol Flynn will get the 4K treatment on January 20th. And that's it for movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Up next, it's TV and entertainment time. TV and entertainment time. Actress Gretchen Mull will become a regular on season 4 of Tulsa King, and Patrick Dempsey will star in a new TV show on Fox called Memory of a Killer. Dempsey plays a hitman who has developed early onset Alzheimer's. And it looks like House of the Dragon will be getting a 4th season and arrive in 2028. And before its Sunday, January 18th premiere, HBO Max has announced A Night of the Seven Kingdoms also has been renewed for a 2nd season. So a couple of them, before they're even released, they're getting more season renewals. So that's great. That's it for TV and entertainment time. Coming up next, the singer of the hit song Wham, Bam, Shang, John Batdorf. Next, right here on Screen and Beyond. Today, our guest on Screen and Beyond started his music career as one half of the duo Batdorf and Rodney. And he has composed music for TV and film, including Touched by an Angel, and has written songs for America, England Dan, and Kim Carnes. His biggest hit came in the 70s with a band he had formed called Silver, and they had a top 20 hit on the Billboard charts called Wham Bam Shang-a-Lang, and it appeared in the Guardians of the Galaxy too. His latest album is called Suffering. It's John Batdorf. John, welcome to On Screen and Beyond.
Great to be here from Central Oregon.
Well, John, it's, like I was telling you before we got on the air, that I just love Wham Bam. Now, was it Wham Bam or is it Wham Bam Shang-a-Lang?
Well, it sounded, we usually call it just Wham Bam. We kind of got the idea.
Yeah, I'll have to look on the record because I don't know what it said on the record, to be honest. I mean, it's been, well, quite a few years.
It may have been Shang-a-Lang was in parentheses. I think that was what it was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did that a lot. Yeah. But I always enjoyed that song, and I was surprised that you didn't get more songs that made the charts. I mean, I know you had some hits earlier that didn't quite get to the top 40, but they were in the top 100.
Yeah, Wham Bam actually got to number 16 in the nation. That's where it peaked, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's darn good.
But we were still completely shocked when it ended up in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 movie, because we thought, how would they even know about that song? Because there were so many huge songs in that movie, and I really thought someone was pulling a prank on me by sending me this, that we were in the, so I didn't even tell. I told my wife, I said, listen, don't tell anybody. We need to go to the movies and make sure it's in the movies before we tell people. So we went, and there it was. We thought, okay, let's tell people.
Yeah, but I don't know who does the selection of musics for the Guardians of the Galaxy, but boy, I tell you, they're taking some great songs, and a lot of them are songs that you don't hear all the time on the radio anymore.
Right.
but they were great songs. They had, I think in the first one, they had something by Sweet. Actually had one of the people from Sweet on the show one time.
Great.
And, just some great songs that, I love them anyways. I mean, and obviously somebody who is making that movie series is, into the same type of music I am.
Without a doubt. And it was really a great way to resurrect a lot of great music that young people had not heard. Um, a funny story, if you don't mind. I was back in Washington D.C. at a museum I was playing at, and there was a lady there who was a fan of mine, and she brought her granddaughter, and it looked like the granddaughter was, getting a tooth extraction. That's how excited she was about being at this show with me. So I'm playing my songs and doing the whole shtick, and then I start talking about the Wham Bam thing. She lit up and go, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" So it worked. It reached someone who had no idea that I was the guy that sang it, and
Hmm.
my band. So it was really cool to do that. I was very I felt really honored that happened.
Yeah. Now, do they have to contact you in order to use the song?
Well, this is probably an exaggeration, but because we didn't write it and didn't own it, because Arista owned the master and Rick Giles wrote it. No one contacted us, and I think they figured that maybe the group's dead, so they don't have to tell anybody. So, but we weren't. So I contacted them. It was really hard to find which label the record was going to be on because it had been Arista, then this and that, and Disney, and finally got through. And after a few months, we actually got paid more than we did when we had the hit. So that was good.
Wow. Yeah. So now, like you say, you didn't write it, but I would think that the people, I mean, it's still your voice and everything that the band that's on the record. So I would think they would have to pay you something.
Oh yes, I think only if you ask. I think that's how
Oh,
it works.
really? So they sort of sneak it in there and hope you don't say anything. Wow, that's I don't know. I know the record business it can be very funny. I've had Tommy James on the show before, and he was saying how they basically took everything out of him. I mean
Oh,
it's
without a doubt. You're always in the red when you're on the record company.
yeah,
Oh no, we got a long, long way to go before you get any money.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
But that's not the only business because I did commercials and did TV singing for years. And some of the biggest companies, you actually have to contact them. And if you don't see it on the TV, you may never get paid, which
Hmm.
is really, really weird. But you
Yeah,
know,
that's not right. And I know it's the same way with movies. I've had a lot of directors, producers on the show, and they tell me the same thing that the studios or who's ever I don't know if it's the producers, executive producers, or whatever. They say the same thing. Oh yeah, geez, when we're making some money, but it's not to the point where you're going to get any. It's like,
right, right.
okay, when do you get any?
Yeah, I remember one time because I sang on the Rod Stewart record, "The Rhythm of My Heart."
Oh, wow.
My wife and I went to see the movie Perfect Storm. Didn't know the song was in there, and they're in this bar and they're playing the jukebox. I said, "Well, they'll never get to the choir because they don't want to pay us all." So the chorus came in. I go, "Well, it's probably going to cut." Well, it didn't cut. I go, "I need to talk to SAG." So I contacted SAG, and we all got paid. So you have to
Huh.
kind of monitor your own career, and I'm sure there's been lots of money I'd never got,
Yeah.
but maybe I was overpaid than others. So I guess it balances out.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, like you say, it just doesn't seem right. But I hear there's so much from actors and musicians and artists in general that it, you know, it isn't right what they're doing.
It's very hard to, keep track. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I've done in my 50-year plus career, and how on earth do I ever, monitor the usage of any of that stuff? You just kind of have to go with the flow and hope you get paid enough that, you don't feel really bad about it. And BMI is really good at collecting for songwriters. And and who's the other sound? I forget who it is. Anyway, they're really good at getting stuff for artists. So there are people out there looking, but they take their share as well. But at
Right.
least you're getting something. So what the heck? What else was I going to do? I would have been playing for free all these years anyway because that's what I love to do.
I know that's the thing. You love it so much that I mean, you wish you could get it, but you would do it anyways. And I hear that so often that and you can tell people who love their music.
Well, yeah, and I never, ever, ever thought that I was doing it because I wanted to get money. It was because I loved it and I just wanted to have my songs heard. The money came later, but I don't think anybody who starts with the attitude, man, I'm just going to make a million on this, because you don't. You just have to do really great work, and hopefully something will happen. And
Mhm.
that's what I've tried to do my whole life.
Are you still doing appearances at different places and playing music and things like that?
I have been. I've been actually touring for the last, 20 years now. I'm really scaling back this year because I just hate traveling so much. I like to be able to drive to shows. I live on the West Coast, because I can bring more than one guitar and I don't have to pack all these suitcases and stuff. And plus, I can take my wife. So I'm going to concentrate mainly on this side of the Rockies, and just keep playing. I still keep recording. I just released two new songs, and I'll probably be doing them like that because people don't really buy CDs anymore, and most people stream, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I still want to do the music. And what's great about doing the digital releases is that you have this idea for a song, you work out the song, you record it, and it can be out within a week.
Mhm.
So it's really great to have something that you wrote about the moment you're in right now, instead of having people hear it a year later, because it takes a long time to make a whole record. They hear it pretty much when it's fresh in their heads as well. So it's pros and cons. I mean, back when I was a kid, I used to love having records and reading all the credits, but that it's a different time. I understand.
Yeah. John, I cannot agree with you more. I mean, people our age like to hold that
Yeah.
thing. And like you say, reading those liner notes I
Oh,
mean, I can remember getting a new Beatle album or something, and you go through the whole thing. And if there's a booklet in it, that's even better.
yeah. I remember one of the most uh, poignant times and most impactful time was three or four guys. We went out and bought Abbey Road, and we put it on, not knowing any of the songs. And by the time it was over, we thought, oh my gosh, this is like the best thing I'd ever heard in my life. And I don't know if people sit down and listen to music like that anymore. I think it's more of a background kind of a thing unless you're at a concert. But boy, that was so impactful to me, to hear a record that was that good and be able to look at it and who wrote the songs and who sang them, who played what. That was really important to me. And that stuff always stuck in my head.
When you were growing up and just a little kid, where did you start your musical, inspiration? Were you in a musical family, or what, how did that come about?
Well, I was surrounded by both my grandparents played instruments, and we'd sing songs together. And that's back when I was like 5 years old. And we moved to New Mexico, and I started playing guitar when I was 6, and didn't really want to be a musician. My dad was a musician. My uncle, who went by Earl Scott, had 4 top 10 singles back in the early '60s. So I was around that. We used to go to concerts. But still, I didn't really like country music, and my dad really wanted me to do it because I could sing well and I could play, and I played piano. But it wasn't until I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan Show that changed my whole life, and said, "Oh my gosh, I have to do this. This is something I could really do." And went to California when I was 15 and got my first record deal when I was 18. So it's amazing. I mean, that moment on Ed Sullivan, that changed my life. It's remarkable that something that seemingly that small could alter your life, and it's
Mm.
been a good altered life. It's been great. I mean, I could have been at Walmart. I don't know if I had done this. I have no idea what my life would have been, because once I saw that, I said, "This is what I'm going to do." And here I'm 73, still doing it, still loving it, and so I'm glad Ed brought them to the TV. That was really good.
So would you say that the Beatles was probably the biggest influence for you to get into music?
Clearly, I didn't really know bands before that. Of course, I was only 12. But that actually wrote their own songs. And I thought, well, this is so cool that the band writes their songs. Because before that, we had, teen idols, and be a writer, and there'd be a publisher, and a producer, and an arranger. All of a sudden, these bands are writing their own material, even co-producing the record, and making their own arrangements. And the singing on the Beatles records, the three-part harmony, was so special to me. And I learned how to write bridges listening to the Beatles, because the bridges the Beatles wrote were so good and just enough to take you someplace else and then bring you right back into it. It was so clever. They were fantastic. I mean, to me, they're the highest of the bars. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of others that affected me well, but nothing quite like the Beatles.
I'm Charles Grodin. I'm on Screen and Beyond.
Were there any other groups that influenced you?
Well, I think a lot of the bands that came out of the Beatles, when all the bands from England came out, the Yardbirds and the Birds here in the United States. But one of the bands that really influenced me a lot was Buffalo Springfield. I was a kid, and when I came to California, I was 15. I played electric piano. I played a little Wurlitzer electric piano and sang, and I played a little guitar. I wasn't really very good, but then I heard the solo on Bluebird that Stephen Stills played on the acoustic guitar, and I went, "Oh my gosh, I have to learn how to play like this." So I took my amplifier to a music store in Santa Monica and traded it for a Yamaha acoustic guitar, and I just kept playing it and playing it and playing it, trying to get better and better. And then I met Mark Rodney a few years later, and I had all these songs that I had written, and he had also had a Yamaha guitar. So when we got an audition with Ahmet Ertegun, who was the president of Atlantic Records at Beverly Hills Hotel, and we walked in there, and the first song he jumped up and said, "I want to sign you guys."
Wow.
And so we kept playing these songs, and he was like, "Oh, this is great. I want to produce you in Muscle Shoals." We thought, well, this is fantastic. And he goes, "Do you guys need anything?" And I said, "Well, we could use a couple of Martins." And he goes, "What's wrong with yours?" We said, "Well, they're not Martins." And we wanted to play the guitars that our heroes played. So he set up a thing for us at a music store, and we went and I picked out my first Martin D28. Mark picked out a D35. I'm just surrounded here in my studio by Martins. They're just fantastic guitars.
Huh. Now, I'm not a guitar player, so I wish I was, because
Okay.
But is there a big difference between a Martin and a Gibson and whatever else?
Yeah, there's a lot of really great guitars. Taylor's makes a great guitar. A company near here, Preston Thompson, makes fantastic guitars. But when you get used to the Martin sound is just different. Like the Taylor sound is more of I think for more finger pickers. Well, I'm kind of a banger guitar player. I play kind of hard. And the thing about the Martin, it'll do both. You can finger pick on there and it sounds beautiful, and you can bang the heck out of the guitar and it holds up. So I've always loved Martins, and I've never found anything that was better for me. Not that it's the best guitar in the world, but for me, it's the best guitar in the world.
Yeah. Now, do you still have your first Martin guitar?
Unfortunately, TWA robbed me of that. They crushed the guitar back in the day, and so that was disappointing. But live and learn. And when I moved to Oregon from LA, my wife and I moved up 10 years ago. I said, well, I know that I'm gonna have to buy a really, really good guitar case, because we live near a small airport and we have to connect. So I looked online, what is the best acoustic guitar case there is, and I bought it, and it's held up for 10 years now, 11 years. It's just great. And so because I can't lose another guitar. That's the most painful thing that happened. You open up the guitar when you get to the airport and it's crushed, you go, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? So yeah, it's a shame. That's why I kind of want to drive to gigs now, because unless I get in a wreck, I think we're going to be okay.
Well, it's funny that you say that about the airline ruining your guitar. My daughter is a composer, and when she went to college, we turned around and, she had a bass guitar that, electric bass that she had, and we wanted to protect it. It was not probably wasn't a really great guitar, but hey, it was hers. So we got this nice case that TSA approved and all this other stuff, and didn't make any difference. They destroyed this case. I mean, and luckily the guitar survived, but the case was just destroyed, and we paid a lot of money for that. And it's like, how do they do that? It's going from here to there, when they load it, and how do they ruin it like that? It's just a shame.
Well, I've seen it. I remember when I first bought my case, I was going to fly back to New York. I had to connect in San Francisco. Just so happens, I look out the window as I'm getting off the plane to connect. The guy throwing my guitar onto the luggage thing. I'm going, well, we'll see how the case worked out. And it worked okay. And just recently, I was back in New York again, and I gate checked my guitar, so I wouldn't have to go through all the conveyor belts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they walk it down, and they put it down on the ground, and they put it in the plane. This guy, there was a big slide. Before I could even say anything, it goes down the slide.
Oh,
And it's really steep. And I'm going, there were stairs there. I would have walked it down myself. And I thought, well, this will really be a test for the guitar, because it went down really fast. Luckily, it was okay, but I don't know the mentality. I just think that, if they see a guitar case, there's a good possibility there's a really nice guitar inside of that. So, it's not underwear and deodorant. This is
right.
this is really important stuff. So anyway,
Yeah.
one of my pet peeves.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Not at all.
Hello there, I'm David Payton from the group Pilot, and I am on Screen and Beyond.
Now, how did you come about forming Silver and coming up with the song Wham Bam?
Well, the way it happened, Mark Rodney and I had made 3 albums. We had signed with Arista in 1974. Then we made our first album in 75. And Mark and I kind of got to the point where it was kind of over. It was just the magic that was there between us was just gone. In the meantime, the year we toured with our Arista album, a guy named Brent Midland joined us on keyboards. And he was a great singer, great keyboard player, and ended up going into the Grateful Dead before he was killed in an accident. But when Mark and I split, I just heard this guy I went to a party like down in Laguna Beach, heard this guy singing. He kind of sounded cross between Richie Furay and Neil Young, and he had some really interesting songs. I thought, gosh, maybe I should try to put together a little trio. So I asked him, and I asked Brent, and so we spent some time writing songs, and then we auditioned for our management, just to show them that we could be a viable act. And we went over to the Beverly Hills Hotel again, and Clive Davis was there. We auditioned for him, and he signed us. And the thing about Wham Bam, this is really weird. He wanted it to be a Batdorf and Rodney single. The last 2 records we recorded was Somewhere in the Night and Wham Bam. And we didn't think it was really a great song for us. But Clive said, listen, I'll sign you guys if you erase Mark's parts, put the new guy's parts on, and we'll release it as your first single for Silver. And I thought, well, it's a brand new band. It'll probably work better because we don't have, people don't know our sound yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we put it out the summer that we were recording the album, and we had no idea it'd become, that kind of a hit, it was on the radio all the time when we were on the road. We thought, well, this is pretty cool. And it wasn't pale. They actually played it because they liked it. It was great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can remember playing that all the time. It's just, it's such a upbeat, happy song. And a lot of the songs back then, that's what the ones that were hits were like that.
Yeah. That was like a really great summer record, I thought. It was just really felt happy and had a, kind of a cool message. I remember somebody asked me, so what does we had a Wham Bam Shang mean? I go, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah. Wow. And now, at that time, when that song was big, did you have troubles, walking down the street, getting recognized, anything like Hard Day's Night or something, where you're running away from people?
No, not quite that big, but we got put on America's big tour with John Sebastian, and we that was our first big nationwide tour, and that was fantastic. They, at that point they were huge. They were at their greatest hits album was out, and they were 20 and 30,000 people at the big outdoor amphitheaters that were covered in the big grassy knolls. And it was just really great. And we went out with the Doobie Brothers, which was when Mike McDonald had just joined the band, and that was such a great band. And we played with Hall and Oates when they were just coming out. So we played all the time.
Oh,
And we got to the point where we had toured for almost a year and been writing songs for the second Silver album. And we had Clive Davis, who was the president of Arista, came to see us perform, and he didn't like the new songs. So he started giving us these songs that we didn't really want to do, and there was just this big hassle, and we eventually it just kind of just crumbled and went away, and that was that. But it was sad because I would like to have made a couple more albums with that group. The singers in the band were fantastic. We had 4 really strong lead singers, and Tom Ledden, who was Bernie Ledden's brother, was a really strong support singer. So 5 singers in a band is pretty rare.
oh yes, that's for
We
sure.
only had 3.
Yeah.
We weren't as good as Paul and John. Then we're not trying to.
Wow. Now you continue to since then you've done a lot of different stuff. You've worked on composing for TV shows, right? And
Yes,
film?
yes. And another of this, I harken back to the Beatles. I loved when the Beatles had orchestration on their records. I just loved the arrangements, and I loved Beethoven's music, and I just there was something about strings that small strings quartets, and Batdorf and Rodney used it on a couple of records. Jimmy Haskell did a couple of arrangements, and I was just always intrigued by that. When I got done with the bands, this thing called MIDI came out, MIDI keyboards, which MIDI keyboards was the first time you could actually play more than one part and record it digitally onto a little recorder and go from there, put harmonies or play different parts. And that was so intriguing to me. And it was the first time with synthesizers where you could have multi-timbral. You could play more than one note, because the early ARPs stuff had just one note and you could play. And I just got really into it and started doing commercials. And I got this opportunity to submit to this new show that was going to be a spin-off of Touched by an Angel called Promised Land with Gerald McCraney,
Hmm.
1997. And so I submitted this project to do with my songwriting partner, Michael McLean, called, oh gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but A Distant Serenade. And it was all orchestral stuff that I had done. So I got a call. They said, we really like what you do. And I wasn't prepared to do TV. I had no idea what I was doing stuff that you go in the studio and record it and they use it wherever. So I had to just scramble to get the first year done. And then I got a computer. I didn't even have a computer the first year. So I was doing it. Anyway, I got done. And then I just got so into the orchestral stuff. It was so great to have a TV scene and look at it. And you go, oh, what's going to make this scene better? What's going to make it come to life without getting in the way? And I really love doing that. So I did that for 3 years. And they kept me on, and I did some orchestral stuff, and I did all the source music for Touched by an Angel, which source music is the stuff when the actors are in a bar and there's music in the background or whatever. And that was really fun too. So I did that. And I did a couple of TV movies and one theatrical movie. And then I got a call from this guy, James Lee Stanley, in 2004, who I'd met in the 70s. And he said, hey, man, I'd like to do this record, and you'd be a perfect guy for it. And I'm doing early Rolling Stones records done acoustically, as if, say, the Mick and Keith were born in California instead of over in England. and kind of a Crosby, Stills and Nash kind of a take. So I thought, well, that sounds interesting, and I got a little break from the TV stuff. So we were supposed to make the record in a month. He said we'll be done for sure. Well, 7 months later, we were done with the record, and we weren't going to tour. We were just going to send it off to a few radio stations, and it went to XM Radio, which was brand new at the time. And they were just starting to play Batdorf and Rodney records again. I thought, well, this is incredible. I didn't even know about this satellite radio thing. And they immediately went on this All Wood and Stones record because it had so many great songs on it from the early Stones days. And then before you know it, people were saying, hey, can you guys come back and tour? And I was thinking, gosh, I like being home and working in my house, in my studio, and my kids are there and my wife's there. So I asked my wife, hey, would you mind? It probably won't last very long. Well, 21 years later, I was so energized by meeting the Batdorf and Rodney fans that I had no contact with for 30 years. There was no internet. All of a sudden, people were asking us to play, and I said, well, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to start writing new songs. I don't want to just be the guy that wrote the songs in Batdorf and Rodney or in Silver. So I started writing songs. Now I think I have 11 solo CDs and a couple of All Wood and Stone CDs, a Soundtracks to Recovery CD, and I'm making new stuff now. So it was great that happened. So you just kind of never know. You just keep plugging away and try to do your best work all the time.
Right now you have, is it a new album called Suffering? Or I know you have a single called Suffering, but is that an album, or you also have Time Bomb out, a single?
Yes, they're both going to be singles, and eventually they'll be part of a digital album called Singles. Because I'm just going to record them as singles. As a matter of fact, before we came on the air, I had an idea for a new song I was starting to work on.
Really?
Yeah, and I love recording and writing probably the most. Although I enjoy playing, I hate travel, but I enjoy playing in front of people. But I don't, I'm going to keep doing it until I can't sing or write anymore. Because I'm still singing the same notes I sang when I was a kid.
Wow.
And when it goes away, I think I'm going to stop.
What inspired you to write Suffering and Time Bomb? Now they seem now watching the videos too, it seems like it almost harkens back to the 60s or 70s protest songs almost. Is that a good
That's more than good. It's really about the state of, I think, of the country that I live in. It reminds me a lot of the 60s. I lived in LA during the riots in LA a couple times, and that unrest thing kind of went away for a long time. And now it appears that it's back. And I don't really think I'm a political person, but that you can't help as a writer but not be influenced by your surroundings in the world. And so Time Bombs came, and ironically, what was so weird, I wrote it with my friend Michael McLean. We weren't sure, we just knew about the civil unrest and how it was just, everybody was so angry, it seemed like. And so we thought, somebody's going to blow a fuse here and something bad's going to happen. I sent him the mix, and he lives near Park City, Utah. He was down in Provo, where Charlie Kirk was speaking. He said he was 4 minutes past the thing when he was assassinated. He goes, oh my gosh, there's the first time bomb. We thought, wow, that's scary. But it feels very vulnerable now. Like people just, I lived in the greatest, the 60s and the 70s. After the unrest, it seemed great. It seemed like just people got along and nobody cared, where you were from or how you looked. It was great. And then now it's not so great, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now, John, where can people get or buy or listen to your music now?
Well, you can always go on my website, johnbatdorfmusic.com. But I'm in all the major distribution places. I'm on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. And I offer, you can get downloads from my website and really anywhere. But that's probably how it's going to be now because people don't really want. I mean, I sell CDs still at gigs because I think it's like a keepsake more than anything else. Because you can't autograph an MP3.
Right.
It's kind of rough.
If you figure out a way, you're going to make money.
So, and the last couple of records I was just going to do like this too, but when I went back out on the road, I thought, well, I'll make a CD of these songs just so I have them. Someone would like to have them. So basically now they're going to be digital, and they'll always be there on my website. I have so many songs on there now; it's crazy. But as much as I resist the streaming thing, it's part of life and just how it's going to be for now. And I try to educate people on what streaming really does to, writers. And I said, gosh, I remember we were really upset when Apple iTunes came out because they were selling our songs one at a time and we were making $1 a song less their fees. And now all of a sudden, we don't make any of that. So this. I don't know how this ever happened, but the whole streaming thing has killed a source of income that people like myself. Especially that you're not, a major star like some of the massive people are.
Yeah.
We used to sell 20 to 30, 40 CDs a night, which was helped with the income as you toured.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's coming back because I just think most people know what free is pretty much. Why would they pay?
Yeah. Yeah. It's too bad.
It is.
Yeah. Because those companies that are doing this, if all of you guys and girls decided to, okay, we're not going to make music anymore, where are they going to be? Nowhere.
Exactly it. Because they're making the money we should be making.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, I don't quite understand how it's not illegal to do that.
I know. It doesn't make sense.
What was the very first one that came out? At the beginning, my kids got it, where they were sharing music and they got shut down and sued and next thing you know, all these companies are coming out where they did exactly what they were doing. So I don't know how it's legal. I don't know why unions for musicians and unions for singers and writers has not gone, hey,
Exactly.
like you had mentioned, they would not be anything
Mm-hmm.
without the artists that they pretty much.
Well, John, I want to finish up with one really quick question. But people should go out and get your music and buy it and, pay for it. And, it's the way it should be done. But when you sit back and relax, what are your favorite TV shows now and of the past? And what's your favorite movies?
Oh my gosh. Well, so many, since when COVID happened, I mean, I wasn't a big TV guy. I love sports. I watched, a lifelong Reds fan, unfortunately. So I didn't watch a lot of regular TV, but when COVID happened, we started streaming on Netflix, which we didn't even have before that. And there's so many great shows that I was not even aware existed that aren't on mainstream TV. I mean, and now for me to go back and watch mainstream TV, it's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible compared to, the stuff that they make over in Europe and even here. I don't know that I have a favorite because I just keep bouncing around. There's been so many great shows. I mean, one of my favorite shows was Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
That was so good. And another great show was a show, The Americans, which was also kind of a off-network show. Just great writing, great acting. And we just bounce around from shows to shows, and there's just a lot of great stuff out there that I don't really have a favorite. I don't go to a lot of movies because nowadays, you have your big 75-inch screen, a great stereo system. You go, why do I want to go buy $10 popcorn?
Right. I want to thank you so much for taking the time and sharing with us. And like I say, people should go out and get Suffering and also get Time Bomb and everything else that you got coming out. And thank you so much for joining with us.
I appreciate you asking.
And a big shout out to John Batdorf, the man who brought us the 70s hit Wham Bam Shang. And be sure to check out his latest music from his album Suffering. And I love having these music guests here on the show. You can hear their origin stories, and it's just great to hear that, talking about their old hits and everything. And over the years, I've had Little Anthony, Gary U.S. Bonds, Peter Tork of the Monkees, Meatloaf, Mark Farner of Grand Funk, and so many others. Be sure to check them all out by going through our past episodes on your favorite podcast provider. And also so much music history there in the past episodes. Just be sure to check those out. And of course, there's also many TV and movie stars on those episodes too. So a lot of great stories to listen to or watch on some cases. So subscribe on YouTube if you want to watch us, or also on Spotify, but Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you can hear us too. And be sure to tell a friend about On Screen and Beyond. And that's it. That's a wrap for this episode of On Screen and Beyond. So until next time, when we once again take you on screen and beyond, I'm Brian Zemrak. Take care.